Hello and welcome back to the Karma Stories podcast. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today I have two stories for you from the Malicious Compliance subreddit. The Karma Stories podcast is published to all major podcasting platforms, and you can also read along on YouTube under our @Karma Stories podcast handle. Today's episode is sponsored by my 3D printing website. Visit dangly3d.com where you can check out the brand new Hollow Turtle. It's an adorable yet creepy at the same time turtle with a big skull on its back. I've printed them up in a bunch of different colors. You can check them out for yourself at dangly3d.com. Alright, on to today's stories. Let's jump right in. This story comes to us from Dare Affectionate 7725. Wait for feedback, ongoing. Hi all, thought I would post this here while I am being maliciously compliant at my current job. I have been with the 10,000 plus employee company for 4 years and switched departments last year due to relocation to another country and changed my contract to be fully remote. I really enjoyed the company and position as well as daily tasks, and was challenged in many ways and learned a fair bit. But it wasn't a position with contractual remote possibility. So I decided to change departments and to a fully remote position. The new team was very small, with just 4 people including the manager. When I joined the team, I started by organizing their chaos into a workable structure and roadmap strategy on how we can achieve the completion of the open tasks and requests. My manager at that time was useless, but we got along fine, and he let me do my thing. However, there are certain types of requests and changes where I do not have the authority to approve, and it needs to go through my manager to the higher-ups for approval. In all that time, all the requests that I forwarded for approval or just feedback were still open and waiting. No matter how many one-on-one or team meetings we had, they are being pushed further out pending approval. For the first few months, I had already completed all assigned tasks where possible and helped out in other teams when I could. This particular manager was promoted after 3 months of me joining and hired his replacement. The new manager joined us 3 months later and reports to my old manager. At this point, I mainly worked with other teams and helping them. All my tasks are waiting approval, and no new tasks were given. I am somewhat relaxed with new people during the onboarding process and make sure they have time to digest it all properly and understand the background. So again, 3 months later, and having learned what type my new manager is, I gave up on explaining the complex environment and what is required to be able to deliver results for me and us as a team. At this point, I have worked in that team for 9 months, onboarded my new manager, and completed everything I could complete, and helped my colleagues getting on with their open work. Naturally, other teams don't always need my help, so I was a bit idle for most of my manager's onboarding time. Over and over again have I stated to my new manager that I have nothing to do unless open tasks are given approval or new ones are assigned to me, and I asked to please escalate if any of it really needs to be done. 2 months ago, my new manager exploded on me during a meeting to stop asking for approval on the open tasks and wait for feedback. I specifically sent a follow-up email to get that in writing and promptly received a response back to wait for feedback or new tasks. Well, that's what I do now. I wait and do nothing besides the weekly team meeting where I have no updates. I also no longer help out in other teams because of what my manager said. If the teams really needed my help, they have to go through my new manager, and any request received was rejected. And I will keep waiting until, hopefully, it will explode. OP added an edit down below. It says, Edit 1, my manager's boss knows all of this from his own time managing the team. I have spoken to the big bosses, CEO and CTO about it, and followed up twice with an email including everything that is still open, including items he needs to approve himself. So I think they are very well aware of the situation, it just doesn't have priority right now. All evidence is saved in an accessible team space, and I have a personal copy. Both I keep updated when something comes up. fallout. One team member resigned last month, and the other one is already looking for a new job. Important to know, there is a 20-year age gap between me and the other two members of the team. They still need and want more experience. Our new manager is early 60s and should retire soonish. We had an impromptu team meeting yesterday without the manager where we basically all laughed about this situation. But we're sad at the same time that we could not use our skills. Personally, I decided to ride this wave and see where it goes. Because, let's be honest, who doesn't enjoy being paid without having to work? Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called Darth Kiwi Chris. It says, just a small suggestion, back up that approval list. Or, if you want to be mega petty, print out each request and make a wall of them. OP responded to this one and said, I made a folder in our team space with all the evidence of me chasing work, including all the follow-ups I made in writing and my last feedback meeting, which technically HR should be interested in, but they are not, which states this all in writing. There is a backup of all this on my personal device, and if anything new pops up, I will add it. And thanks for the suggestion. I am kinda hoping for a payout package, seeing they don't really need me. Another commenter down below called Great Extension said, might as well get a second job. OP responded to this one and said, I made already a list with options, but what is holding me back are higher taxes and a required approval from my company as per policies that I would take on a second job in a non-competitive field. Maybe I could do more research on how other people deal with extra income and the taxes in such situations. It sounds like OP is completely covering their butt. They're trying to get work, but they just don't get any new work. The managers seem pretty incompetent in this case because they're just paying OP to sit around and do nothing, and it seems like nobody really cares what's going on at that company. They're just collecting their paychecks and moving on. We covered another epic story that was very similar to this one with an employee who was in their office but not doing anything and still getting paid for years, and you should go listen to that one now if you haven't already. It's called Forgotten Employee, The American Dream, and we recorded it a couple years ago. I'll link it at the top of the description on YouTube, and it'll be in the description on the podcast as well. This story comes to us from Reforming Saint. You want me to be quiet? Okay. Ever since I was little, I was quiet. This was mainly due to having terrible older siblings, and I learned to walk silently. I have tried to make myself plop my feet so as to not scare people, but I've been known to walk extremely silently. Please note, I am a 300-pound plus, 5'10" person with a huge beer belly, so I couldn't hide even if I wanted to, since I usually wear black and a red vest. Since I am so silent, I have become loud, very vocal, so as not to scare people and let people know when I am in the area. I talk to myself, sing songs, talk to everyone passing by, etc. I do my best to be friendly even though I'm socially drained every day and would rather stay inside for that month. Regardless, I am a very loud person. A regular customer apparently did not like it since I was a very loud person and asked me to be quiet. I apologized and toned everything down, but my supervisor was also complained to. I was asked to become less loud. Okay. Since then, I have scared a lot of people, ranging from customers to the very own supervisor. I usually greet people 5 to 10 feet away from them so as to not get too close. Most of them I have even made eye contact with and still scare them. Essentially, giving jump scares to everyone, and people complained I wasn't in my department. Almost everyone I have joked with by stating I need a bell. The fallout. Last week, I decided 1 week of torture was good enough. It was time to go ahead and stop being a gremlin. As much as I enjoy scaring people that are taller than me, I was probably creating an unsafe work environment. So I decided to make 3 rules to make things better. No big blowout, no real problems, just making an adult decision. 1. Try to greet everyone from the end of the aisle so as to avoid scaring them too much. 2. If I somehow sneak up on them, take several steps back so as to give them even more space. 3. Tell your coworkers you're going behind them at any point in time. I have followed each one to the letter and have gotten less jump scares from customers. The fellow supervisors and coworkers are another story. I have actually gotten more jump scares from them than when I was silent. For example, I came around a corner and I stopped to see a supervisor helping a cashier. I said I was coming behind them and they both jumped. The supervisor even screamed a little. Responding to some comments from the post that I could remember, I do not come close to someone I know that was in the armed services or police force. I make sure they know where I am at all times because you don't own PTSD, PTSD owns you. Meaning something could set you off and I do not want that because of me. I respect them too much for that. Unfortunately, no one else has joined me on trying to scare the supervisors. I told maybe 1 or 2 people about it, but they just put it off as workplace antics. I wish to thank everyone that posted a comment stating they also scare people. I got a huge kick from those comments and hope you occasionally scare people when it's safe to do so. I certainly plan to restart being a gremlin when Halloween hits. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called Marky Cat. It says, "That's a superb ninja skill. You have obviously missed your calling. Get a large collar with a cat bell and maybe stitching that says ghost or something. Keep it in your pocket until the next time someone suggests you need a bell and let the antics ensue. Maybe around Christmas, you could wear jingle bells." OP responded to this one and said, "I did not think of that one. I'll try to see if I can get some for around my ankles or something. Drive everyone nuts with the jingle bells going off." On a personal note, I used to scare my wife any opportunity I had, and there is one in particular that always makes us laugh when we think about it. I was in the storage room and she couldn't find me, so she opened the door to the storage room and looked in there, but didn't see me. Why? Because I was hiding behind the door, and she didn't open it up far enough to actually hit me. So when she looked in, didn't see me, and went to leave and close the door behind her, I jumped out and grabbed her from behind. You know how scared you are when you don't think that there's anybody in a room? Like you've checked it and there's nobody there, but all of a sudden there is somebody there? She said that her fingers went numb, and so I didn't scare her that bad anymore after that. If you enjoy daily Reddit stories, I encourage you to follow and add us to your favorites on whichever podcasting platform you enjoy the most. And if you're watching and listening on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. It really helps us out. I thank you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.